podcast you've been looking for all along. Step into the world of urban exploration with guests from around the world. Welcome to No Tracers.
All right, so this week on the No Tracers podcast, I am joined by BigBankz, aka Big Explores. This guy is from Oklahoma and he has been exploring for a couple years. And in this episode, you're going to hear about his first exploration, his favorite exploration, his scariest explorations, which are insane. So you guys absolutely should stick around for those. If you're new to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button. Let me know how you came across it. And if you like it at any point in time, please leave a rating and feedback. And if you do that, I will send you a signed photo print from an abandoned place that I've explored. If you're new to the podcast or if you're a veteran listener that hasn't listened to the previous episodes, please go back. The first few episodes are tips and tricks for getting into urban exploring, gear that I think you need, and some of my personal stories, some of my favorite stories of my favorite explorations. So if you are not following me on Instagram or TikTok, you are missing out on my content, and I don't want you to miss out on my content because I not only post my own content, but I also post promos for this podcast so you know who the guests are. So if you guys want to follow me at No Tracers on TikTok or no.tracers on Instagram, that would be sick. And if you would like to support my content further, you can join Patreon. I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/justtheletterK. I make adventure content. I also make music. So if you guys are into metal music, you should definitely check out the Patreon. I release all of my content over there early for my supporters. I appreciate all of them. I also do monthly Zoom calls with my supporters on Patreon, which is super sick, where I show them my upcoming content, and I love sharing that stuff with them. The last thing I need to do before we get into this episode is thank our partner, which is Liquid Death Water. If you've never heard of Liquid Death Water, don't worry. I've got an ad coming for you in 3, 2, 1.
From the streams of the Austrian Alps comes a new kind of water. A water that is sure to raise you from your grave. If you're tired of buying cases of plastic water bottles that contain carcinogens and God knows what else, or if you're trying to lower your waste footprint, Liquid Death comes in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. Murder your thirst with a can of Liquid Death. Check the link in the description and use code JustTheLetterK at checkout for 10% off your order. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst.
So yeah, if you guys want to get a 10% discount on a case of Liquid Death or on your full order, if some people get 20 cases. I had somebody last month get 50 cases of Liquid Death using my discount code. So you get 10% off your order by using code JustTheLetterK. I will put a link down in the description. It'll be the first link that's down there actually. So if you guys want to check that out, get some Austrian alpine water and murder your thirst. All right, without further ado, BigBankz, let's go. Please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the No Tracers audience.
So my name is Carter. A lot of people just call me Banks, but my YouTube name is BigBankz and my Instagram name is Big Explores with a Z.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what got you into exploring. What made you catch this crazy bug?
The bug. Well, I really started exploring about 3 years ago whenever I met my wife. It was like the first night that we met. I don't know if you count like cemeteries as abandoned,
Yeah.
some of them. But that night I kind of wanted to, impress her because it was the first time meeting her. And so I took her out to this abandoned cemetery. It's been closed off to the public for years. And supposedly it's like super haunted. So I wanted to like impress her and take her out there. So that night, we went out there, we saw some crazy stuff, and I pretty much just got that adrenaline rush that you usually get. Even though it was not even an abandoned building, it was just a cemetery. But it was awesome, and that's what got me really hooked on it.
So if you guys are not only looking to get into exploring, but if you also are looking for date ideas, why not try an abandoned
Absolutely.
cemetery? That's awesome, man. Yeah, cemeteries are definitely can be creepy places, especially at night. And I've explored my fair share of cemeteries, both abandoned and functioning, like that are in use currently. And there's always that energy there that surrounds them. So I think that that's super interesting that you brought her out there for your first time together. What was
Yeah, we
your
did it 2 nights in a row, actually.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So was that your first exploration ever?
Pretty much, yes.
Wow, that's incredible. And you guys are still together, and I think that's great that you started it out
Yes.
with such a big bang.
Yes, absolutely. It was fun.
So how about photography? When did that come into play for you? How long had you been exploring before you picked up a camera and started documenting your adventures?
So that was, let's see, that was 3 years ago. Or no, that was 4 years ago. Um, about a year, actually, honestly, the beginning of 2020 is actually when I first started uh, taking photos and taking video of any type of abandoned place. Um, but there's been like a few times that me and my friends have gone out and gone to places before I actually did that. Got to see some cool stuff, and after seeing like things left behind and all that stuff, I didn't realize that there was like this whole community of people taking photos of these places, and I thought, that would be really cool. And I always wanted to be a YouTuber anyways, so I was like, might as well do it with something I like doing.
I love that. And I love that, you went the YouTube route as well. A lot of people just stay kind of on Instagram or, there's a bunch of Facebook pages out there for urban exploring. And a lot of
Hmm.
those Facebook pages, they're very against the YouTubers. And I've never
Oh, very
understood that.
much.
I've never understood that, honestly. Like, do you think it's just because of like the things like the clickbaity titles and like the thumbnails with the arrows pointing everywhere and stuff like that?
Yeah, I can see that part, um, that side of it, with all the clickbait and stuff like that. And a lot of times, what I've been told by other photographers that have not liked me because of YouTube, um, they say it's because we just want like notoriety and everything like that. But at the same time, it's like when you post a photo, you're wanting to
Right.
post it to get likes to show people. But it's the same with video.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed just making videos a lot better. But recently, I've really been getting into the photography scene. But I can really see where the clickbaity stuff can be a little bit cringy,
Hmm.
um, and irritating if it says something totally different than what happens.
Absolutely.
That's what I can see about it.
Yeah. And for those that are wanting to get into exploring, can you talk a bit about how you discover these places? Are you doing everything by yourself on foot? Are you networking with other people? Like, what's your process?
So at first, it was like going on Facebook pages, like joining sites and kind of looking through and seeing like, if there's anything that's around me. Um, I just started off in my home state of Oklahoma. There's not really much here that's abandoned. It's kind of weird. I've been to Louisiana, Texas, Missouri, a whole bunch of places, but Oklahoma just has like not really much at all. um, but but yeah, that's
That's how you found your spots. So,
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which part
Mostly
of
mostly just kind of networking out. I talk to a lot of people. I try to make friends in the community too, and everything. But most of the time, it's me and my wife just searching around for on Facebook groups and stuff like that, or we'll just drive around.
definitely which part of Oklahoma are you from?
I'm from southern Oklahoma, closer to the Lawton area.
Okay, cool. I'm from Oklahoma City originally, so it's kind of
Oh,
cool
really?
to
That's cool.
have a fellow Oklahomie on the
Yeah.
podcast. I've played a few band competitions in Lawton actually, so I'm
Oh,
kind of
really?
familiar with
Yeah,
that area.
I'm about 20 minutes from Lawton.
Nice, very cool. So, as far as gear goes, do you have any like recommendations for, I don't know, a camera or even a pair of shoes or a backpack or a flashlight? Any gear recommendations that you have that you can share?
So, always have a flashlight for one. Try to get like the strongest lumen, especially if you're gonna have it on a camera or making video. I recommend the newer light. The one I have was like maybe $30 on Amazon, and it's like 3,000 lumen.
Wow.
So it's pretty bright. And then for shoes, honestly, I just wear Converse because I know a lot of people like say wear boots and stuff, but Converse, I feel like because they're more narrow and stuff, and if you have to climb a fence, it's easier to wedge your foot
Mm.
in between the fence and stuff with Converse. So those are my go-to with shoes. As far as backpack, it's just anything lightweight, really, because you never know. You don't want to be carrying too heavy. You never know like what you're going to be doing, how you have to get into a place, stuff like that. And with
Yeah.
camera, I use a Canon. I just use a 77D. It was like my first DSLR camera that I've bought. I prefer Sony, but they're kind of expensive, but their low light is just
Insane.
incredible.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of things to make a picture work out, like light painting and long exposures and stuff like that with the Canon. Um, just for video wise, I would say Sony would probably be the way to go for a camera.
I totally agree. And Sony shoots 4K, and like you said, the low light is absolutely incredible
Yeah,
on those cameras.
absolutely.
It's crazy. And going back to your backpack thing, like I have this knack for carrying a giant backpack for some reason. Like I'm gonna be camping in these places, and I recently purchased a shoulder bag from like Ace Hardware. So I mean, like
Hmm.
for people looking, you can literally pick up bags from anywhere. It's
Literally anywhere.
yeah. There's
Um,
some great stuff out there.
yeah, I just used like an Amazon Basics bag. Like it was like $20, and it had all like the camera slots and everything. And I was like, I'll just go with that, and it's small enough to fit through holes and everything.
Nice. Love it. And talk to me about your scariest exploration. This could be an encounter with other people. This could be an injury, or this could be, ghosts if you want to go that route. So tell me about scary explorations.
Okay, well, I actually have like two
All
that
right.
are
Let's hear 'em.
really scary.
Cool.
The first one was like one of the first times I ever explored. It was me and my two buddies. We're going out to it's an abandoned tower that's next to a lake. So it's like out in the woods somewhere. We were walking. It's like 2 in the morning. We're walking to this abandoned tower. We heard it's haunted, so we wanted to go see if we could get spooked or anything. So we go out there. It's about like a 20-30 minute hike from where we had to park the car to the tower. So we get there. We figure out there's no way to actually go up it because they tore down the stairs on the inside. So it's really just a shell.
Wow.
And we were like, well, this is kind of cool. So we just kind of walked around and chilled for a minute, and then we walked back. So on the way back, we see like 2 or 3 sets of eyes like out in the distance,
Oof.
and they're like glowing from the flashlights and stuff. And I tell my friend, I'm like, yo, shine your flashlight over there because this is kind of sketching me out because we'd have no clue where the car is at this point. And he shines his flashlight over there. There's 3 mountain lions, like maybe 30 yards from us.
Whoa.
And they're like creeping towards us. So we were like, and in my, I'm like 17 at this point. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to get out of here. So I'm like, yo, shine your flashlight just right in front of us real quick. And I see the reflection of my headlight, and I just take off running to the car. And thankfully, like, I didn't see anything else of those mountain lions, but that was honestly probably the craziest experience, just because it's pitch black outside, can't see anything, and yeah, these mountain
Wow.
lions are right there.
Damn.
And then another one, I was in this actually happened like recently, like probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Um, let's see. Me and this guy, we were going exploring down south. There's this hotel. It's like 45 stories high. It's a huge hotel, and this is my second time being in it. There's not really much throughout the building, but you get the views from the top. But we're walking in, so we crawl under the fence. We get into the building. We're setting up our cameras in the lobby area, and then two people come in, like two. I think they were homeless people, and I think they were like staying in the building. And one guy looked like he had a knife in his hand, and the other lady was just cussing at us, like telling us that we've been messing with their stuff and that we're stealing from them and everything. And I was like, no, 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 we're just exploring. And they were like, just kept cussing at us, and he kept walking at us. And like I said, I thought he had like a knife in his hand, and he did actually. And he walks up to us, and he was just like, "Oh, it's just the guys with the cameras." And then they just told us to leave them alone and don't come to their floor. And I was just like, "All right, okay."
Oof.
So that was pretty sketchy.
Yeah, sometimes running into people can be scarier than any other encounter, just because,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
you never know who's going to be in these places that we explore. It could
Hmm.
be people on drugs, it could be anybody, literally anybody, cops, anything. Like, it's absolutely it can absolutely be terrifying. But I'm glad you got out
I
of that
think
one
I'm
safely.
I think I'm more scared of people than police, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you for sure. Because the police are just gonna, either fine you or tell you to leave, and other people, you never know what they're gonna do.
Hmm. I actually have one more little scary story. It was
Cool.
actually that first night with me and my wife. We were out. We were out at that cemetery, and I know a lot of people don't believe in like ghosts and stuff, but like I guess until you have your own experience,
Mm.
because this was crazy. I don't know if it was ghost or if it was like a cult or something. It was crazy. So we go out there. I'm like looking around. We get to the cemetery part, and there's not like many tombstones out there. These are all from like the 1800s. And I look out and I see like it looks like maybe 8 or 9 sets of eyes, and they're like eye level with me.
Oof.
And it looks like they kept walking in circles. And now keep in mind this place is like supposed to have like devil worshippings going on often. I don't know. Like this is like a small town,
Whoa.
really small town, Oklahoma. So anything could be possible like that. But I see these eyes and everything, and they just all of a sudden they all like just shut, and then you couldn't see them. So I was like, let's get out of here. So we just literally we both ran back to the car, like sprinted, because I had no clue what it is to this day, but it was so scary.
Man, that reminds me of this time I was in South Oklahoma somewhere, and we were driving down this road, and we were trying to go to like some old burial ground, right? Which, like, why are we doing this? So we pull off to the side of the road, and there's like a turn in. So we park the car, get out of the car, and there's like a plastic chair laid sideways on the ground, and like the feet of the chair are bound with like barbed wire, and there's all these little kids toys like just strewn about like the ground. And we were so freaked out that we like got in the car and we sped off, and on our way out of the area we were chased by like a group of, like, I don't know, rednecks or whoever it was. But like, man, it just goes back to what we were talking about being afraid of other people, because like you don't know what their intentions are, and you don't know what you've stumbled upon, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that could be like that sounds something like a cult would do.
Yeah.
I don't, I've seen the movies and the shows and everything.
Right. Absolutely. So tell me about your favorite exploration to date.
um that one's hard because I've been to Six Flags,
Oh
New Orleans.
man,
That's like
nice.
the big one.
Yeah.
um I've been to one other amusement park that I really like, but honestly, out of all of them, this movie set, it's literally out in the middle of the woods. It was for a TV show. Like it was like 5 hours from my house. I saw a couple of people do videos on it. Like I think Exploring with Josh is where I first saw it,
Mm.
and I was like, man, I have to find that. And I just did all my research. I found exactly where it was, and I went out there, and it's literally in the middle of the woods next to a lake. It's like private. Like when you're there, you're there. Nobody's gonna see you. You don't have to worry about getting caught. And we get out there. There's like 25 buildings maybe, um, and all these buildings were constructed in like 2 months. Like it didn't
Wow.
take them long because it's a movie set. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
use everything. But we were walking around it and everything. There's a church. It's a beautiful church that was like completely built. There's the rooms with like all the props still in them and everything. There's like a map of the TV show, like where they would sit there, like for lunch or their catering and everything like that. And then it's next to the water, and this was like based on like the witch trial and stuff. So it's all like 1600 style. So it was an amazing explore. It has to be my favorite.
Nice. I love that. I love that you got to explore something that was so like remote out in the woods like that. Like that's
Hmm.
so cool. What about your favorite history of a place?
My favorite history.
Yeah, like this could be like an
Um,
asylum with like a dark history or, something like that.
let's see. My favorite history. Probably, honestly, it's probably Six Flags.
Mm.
How it was Jazzland before, and then it got hit by that by Hurricane Katrina, I believe,
Yep.
um, like 15 years ago, and they use it. Like I've seen that they've used it for multiple movies and everything. Um, when you're there, like you can just see like the history of the whole place, of like how it used to be like this place where families would go and have so much fun and everything, and now it's just a wasteland.
Hmm.
So honestly, Six Flags is probably my favorite on history, just because it's within my time and everything,
Yeah.
and it's something that like because I love amusement parks. I wish I could go to more. I'm just too tall to ride the rides, so I don't really get to go to them that often. But after like going to that, it was such an amazing experience.
Man, I got to get out there. That's one place that's like on my bucket list for sure is to get into the Six
Hmm.
Flags in New Orleans. It looks like a beautiful place, and I've had a couple people on the podcast that have gotten to explore it, and every time people talk about it, it just jazzes me up and it makes me want to go even more.
Yeah, I think I just went recently. Like I said, like probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
it feels like I need to go back already.
For sure. Can't get enough. That's awesome, man. So do you have a preference on exploring alone or with people?
I always go with somebody. Always have a buddy. I've done it alone a couple times, but it's so scary. You
It's
can't
so
really
scary.
enjoy what you're doing. Um, like especially if you're going to take photos and everything, it's hard to focus on it
Yeah.
because you're so scared out of your mind that something's going to happen.
Yep.
Um, and also, like if you get hurt in any way, you want to have somebody there to be able to help you. You don't want to get trapped and stuck and nobody ever comes see you for like you never know. You could be there for years.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's not a safe thing that we do, It's a little bit reckless,
No.
and that's part of what makes it so exciting. So for people out there, definitely take a buddy with you. Like that is a huge recommendation if you're trying to get into this stuff. So do you have any goal places on your bucket list that you haven't been that you want to go?
Um, yes. There's this amusement park in China. I've only seen it on YouTube like one time. Um, and it is like in crazy condition. Like the Ferris wheel's huge. It has like a big movie theater at it, and it's it's just like beautiful. It looks like Six Flags if Six Flags hasn't been like vandalized,
Wow.
but even bigger.
Wow.
Um, and then obviously like I want to see Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I want to see Fukushima.
Yeah.
All those big places that everybody knows about.
For sure. Yeah, those are on my list as well. I'm trying to get in touch with one of the Chernobyl tour guides to come on this podcast because I would love to talk to them about like how they got
That would be
into giving
sick.
tours at a place like Chernobyl because it is such an iconic place and it has such a crazy history about it and so I'm definitely, if anybody listening has a connection with one of those people, please reach out to me. I would love to get them on the podcast. So if you could live in one place you've explored for 1 week, which place would it be?
Um, I would have to say this school that I did. Um, it was in Louisiana. It still has power and everything. Like the air conditioner was still working, and there were desks. There were the water still ran and everything, I would probably stay there, because then I don't have to worry about, and there wasn't like any asbestos or anything. So I could breathe, I could have AC, and I could have water.
Yeah, and in a place like Louisiana, that's where you want that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so my last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started exploring?
Wear a mask. I'm still bad at not wearing a mask, but I I've recently came to know that it's very important to wear a mask. I would get something like a P100 mask, because you never know. Like, wearing just a regular old hospital mask is not gonna really help you from all the asbestos or all the black mold and stuff like that. Um, I've gotten sick, and I'm already felt like I can tell in my voice that it's changed a lot since I started going into buildings without a mask. So I would recommend that, and don't ever not go without a mask.
Perfect, man. And I know you said it at the beginning, but one more time, where can people find you online, on social media, if they want to follow your journey some more?
So on YouTube, it is BigBankz with a Z, um, as well as on Instagram, it is Big Explores with a Z, and I do a lot of TikTok too, so it's
Nice.
BigBankz as well.
Very cool, man. Hey, thank you for coming on No Tracers. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. All right, guys, that was my episode with Carter, aka BigBankz, Big Explores. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your stories with everybody. I loved hearing what you had to say. I loved this episode. If you guys didn't know, there is also a version of this on YouTube where you can see Carter's photos. So if you go to youtube.com/justtheletterK, you can watch the podcasts with photos. Even though this is the end of the podcast, but I just thought I would mention that for you again. So if you guys want to head over there and subscribe. Otherwise, you can find me at No Tracers on TikTok or no.tracers on Instagram to see my photography. And you can see who I follow on there. Also, if you want to be on the podcast, hit me up at no.tracers on Instagram. I would love to get you on here. I'm definitely looking for more explorers that are out there on the interwebs to bring you on to this podcast as a guest. I'd love to chat with you about your stories, your insights, and your explorations. If you enjoyed this, please leave a rating and feedback, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for subscribing to the No Tracers podcast. If you guys leave a rating and feedback, I will actually send you a signed photo print of mine from an abandoned place that I've explored. And if you want to pick up a copy of my book, like I said at the beginning, go to notracers.com. You can pick up a book, or you can read my blog with all of my explorations on there. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Stay strong, keep enduring, go out, go explore something, and remember, leave no trace.